Hey guys, it's been a minute, but we are finally back up in it. Welcome back to the Record Room. I am, of course, your host, Tony Giles, your old pal TG, and I'm really happy to be back in the Record Room and talking about some of my new additions and some bits and pieces that have made their way into the Record Room. So without further ado, let's get things started. So first up, I've got the amazing Golgo 13 score by Toshiyuki Komori, recently released by Tiger Lab Vinyl. And this is a remastered version of the original soundtrack to the classic anime Golgo 13, The Professional, or sometimes I think in America it was called The Professional. This is an absolutely incredible score. If you're not familiar with scores to Japanese animated films or anime, manga, however you know them over here in the UK. There was a label called Manga, it was a video company called Manga that released tons of Japanese animated movies, and that's actually how I became a fan of kind of Japanese animation or OVAs. And that was actually how I originally saw Golgo 13 the first time, and this would have been, wow, maybe like early 90s, maybe mid 90s. And the Golgo series has been, I mean, it's epic. There is a lot to digest there with Golgo 13. There's a couple of animated movies, I believe. There are a couple of action, like real live action movies as well, one of which I have seen, and it is pretty awesome. There's a long running manga series as well. And I'm just really stoked to actually have this in my collection. It sounds really good and it looks fantastic. And for those of you out there that don't know, a little bit of full disclosure from the Record Room. See, the label that put out this record, Tiger Lab Vinyl, you can see their nice little logo down there. Well, if you just happen to take a look to your left, you will see my name, because Tiger Lab Vinyl is actually run by two guys, and I just happen to be one of them. So even though I am, even though I work in the music industry as my day job, Tiger Lab Vinyl is something I do that's just, it's a hobby, but it's also a big passion of mine. And John Dobbins, who also just happens to be my best friend, he started the company a few years ago. I actually joined the company 2 years ago in September. And since that time, we've become closer as friends, and we've just got so much in common when it comes to these movies and the music behind them, and what we want to do with the releases, that it's, you know, it's an actual thrill to be working on this stuff. And even though, you know, I am showing you a record now that I've made or put out, my company's put out, I'm not going to like beat you over the head with Tiger Lab Vinyl stuff. I'm showing this one because this is an absolute classic, and this should be in everybody's collection because it's so good. And what I'm actually going to show you is every variant actually of this record, because there are a few different ones. And first off, I'm going to show you the retail version, or what we class as the retail version. And this one actually comes on blue vinyl. It's like a transparent blue vinyl, and I'll show you it right there. It's probably looking a little bit dark against the black background, but it is really nice. It's one of those records, again, that if you shine a light up through it, it'll look really cool. But that's the blue version. I'm going to show you the Tiger's Eye version now, or the Tiger's Eye variant, whatever you want to call it. And this is kind of like a mustard marble. I mean, it looks really cool. I'm really stoked on how these records actually came out, because they look exactly the way John and I wanted them to look, which is pretty cool. And Golgo 13 is actually the final entry in the 2019 subscription service from Tiger Lab. So if you were a subscriber in 2019, this will be your final release. But what's super cool about doing the subscription service, for my money anyway, you know, I had been a fan and was collecting Tiger Lab before I joined them, so this is pretty cool. But every release in the 2019 sub came with its own, you could call them alternative covers, but they're art prints. And the idea was that you would put the art print in front of the sleeve, so you could use it as an alternative cover if you wanted to. Or they're just these really amazing art pieces. And I'll actually fold this out. I mean, you won't be able to see it. I'll try and actually snap a picture so you can see what the whole thing looks like. But you'll get the gist there. But they're so cool. Holy Mountain really nailed every one of these prints. Every title that we did in this sub, Holy Mountain just absolutely killed it. And this is the vinyl version of the sub. And this is a really cool multi-splatter. So it's a clear base with some really cool colors behind it. I don't know how much of that you're picking up from the light, but it's just so, like I say, they turned out exactly as we wanted them to. And that's really cool. And sometimes when you're making these vinyl variants, it's hard to tell if they're going to turn out the way you want them to. 9 times out of 10, they do. Occasionally they don't though, and not with Tiger Lab, but in other work I've done, I've actually scrapped records before as well. And GoGo 13, I'm so stoked to have worked on this release. It was an absolute pleasure because I am a long-time GoGo 13 fan, and actually this is my original GoGo 13 vinyl release, which, as you can see here, thanks to the Obi, this is the Japanese version. And what's kind of cool about this is it's not like a half Obi, but it's smaller and it doesn't go all the way to the top, but you do get the lyrics for Love's Mystery, which is the song on the record, and then there's some information in Japanese. I don't know any Japanese whatsoever. But there you can see the record is actually on the Casablanca label, which most of you, if you know the Casablanca label, will probably be primarily for Kiss or some movie stuff. So it's pretty cool. The sleeve here, we actually used some of these images on the Tiger Lab release as well. So this is really cool. This is available now for those of you that haven't already snagged a copy of this from Tiger Lab Vinyl. So if you like the look of this, remember, jump on over to the Patreon for the Record Room, and you can check out some cuts on the Sounds from the Record Room podcast. But there you go. This is the one and only GoGo 13 available now. Okay guys, next up we're going back to the glory days of heavy metal now, with the beginning by Merciful Fate. And this is a recent reissue. I believe this came out in June of this year. And Metal Blade Records have been running a campaign now for maybe 2-3 years, reissuing Merciful Fate and King Diamond. And everything came out as a picture disc, I believe. I think even the beginning came out as a picture disc as well. I did buy a bunch of them because I'm just a big King Diamond fan and Merciful Fate fan. And even though I have some of those albums on other formats, CDs, cassettes, even vinyl as well, I like the picture discs. But a couple that I didn't actually pick up. One was Return of the Vampire, which I may actually show off on a later episode. But I wanted to show this one here at the beginning because this really is kind of where it starts for Merciful Fate and also King Diamond to that effect as well, because this album is a compilation of sorts. The first side on this is actually the original Merciful Fate EP. And I actually have a copy of that. I have a first pressing of that and I love it. It's really... it just has that early 80s heavy metal feel to it, and the songs are great. Nuns Have No Fun is probably my favorite Merciful Fate song. And what's great about this is you get the album and it's pressed on the retail version, which this version is this is pressed on 180 gram black vinyl. There are colored variants of it, but you know me, I am a black vinyl purist, and also I did pick this up at retail as well. So the album, the first side, A side, is the Merciful Fate EP. The B side is a live recording from a BBC session, the BBC Friday Rock Show. Which is pretty cool to hear, like high quality live material from back at that time. You also get a bonus track as well. The final track on the LP is Black Masses, which was recorded for the Melissa album, but wasn't actually used. So if you are something of a completist of like the early days, and you don't have this for some reason, I would highly recommend checking it out. Ugh, easy for me to say. And also this that you saw me sneak away there, this is pretty cool. The album actually comes with a download code, but where most albums kind of, you know, you might get like a credit card sized piece of cardboard or a printed card that says, you know, oh, go here and get your download. This actually comes with kind of like a mini replica of the album cover, which I think is really neat. And the album itself, like I said, it's on 180 gram black vinyl, so I don't think I need to show you what a black vinyl LP looks like, but how cool is this inner sleeve? This is just, I believe this is how Metal Blade Records inner sleeves look now. I don't actually think I have any recent albums released on Metal Blade. I have some reissues though, and they all kind of bear this sleeve, and I love the old school Metal Blade logo. It's so 80s, so quintessentially heavy metal, and I just absolutely adore this. And the inside of the sleeve, this is totally nerdy, the inside of the sleeve is actually red as well. So it's the little things like that, the little kind of like extra touches, I believe are what makes a good reissue. And this one does sound fantastic. I haven't done an A and B comparison yet with the original EP and this reissue, but I do plan to do that at some point. And who knows, maybe I will actually do a back-to-back over on the Sounds from the Record Room podcast. But if you are a fan of the classic era of heavy metal and you are lacking some Merciful Fate in your collection, I would highly recommend checking out The Beginning. Now, do not adjust your screens. I know this record in front of you probably looks fairly small, and that's because for the first time in a long time, I'm actually featuring a 45, and I should really feature some more 45s on this channel because I freaking love them. What you can see in front of you now is the track Sex, C-R-E-A-M, Sex Cream by James Brown and the Wu-Tang Clan. And if you're thinking to yourself, I didn't know those guys worked together, well, you'd probably be correct, because this, my friends, this is actually a really cool mashup of the tracks Sex Machine and Cream, or Cash Rules Everything Around Me by the Wu-Tang Clan. And you know, about 10-15 years ago, when mashups kind of became like the thing, I was a big fan. You know, I even did a couple myself. I would use them occasionally back in my DJing days, but ultimately there were just so many of them, and it seemed like everybody was doing one, and they were just like, some of them were just really bad and not a lot of thought had gone into them. But Superstol, who I don't know who it is, a DJ, a producer, something along those lines, these are really good. His collection or series of releases are really good. This is definitely one of the best, if not the best mashup I think I've ever heard. I mean, I love the track Sex Machine, I love the track CREAM, and this is a limited edition 7-inch. I picked this up about probably a month ago now, and I think it was released in an edition of like 150, 200 copies, something like that. It wasn't, you know, a fantastically large pressing. Obviously there's going to be some sort of, I don't know if you want to call this a bootleg. I mean, it is what it is. It's a great song. And on the B side of the record, you get the Sex Machine dub edit, which is essentially just an instrumental version of this track. And I did have a Google around, and you can find this like a ton of places. I think I paid around £10 for it, something like that, with shipping. So I don't know, maybe it's expensive for a 2-track 7-inch, you know, black vinyl, but as far as I'm concerned, it is worth every penny because it sounds absolutely incredible. So if you like the idea of this, jump onto your Google machine and go and get yourself some sex cream. Joy Division's Closer, the album you see in front of you now, recently celebrated its 40th birthday. Hard to believe this absolute classic that still sounds fresh today is 40 years old. And Factory Records have done a reissue campaign around the release, releasing some 12 inches to go alongside the album. And the record itself, it has been reissued on crystal clear vinyl. Now, perfectly honest, I'm not a huge fan of clear vinyl. It's one of the only vinyl variants I will try to avoid unless there really is no other choice. Ultimately, I do just like black vinyl. That's just who I am. But with Closer coming back out, I took a look in the collection and realized I didn't actually have Closer on vinyl. I've had it on CD for years and years and years. I think at one point I may have even had a cassette version of it as well, whether it was a dub or an official cassette, I can't remember. But I thought, well, you know, 40th anniversary, high time I picked up this absolute classic. I mean, everybody knows how great this record is. And I went into the store to buy this record, and I didn't know that it was pressed on crystal clear vinyl. So I was kind of like, yeah. I also noticed at the same time that the store I was in was having some kind of sale or special offer where you could buy 2 LPs for £30. And Closer was part of that deal. And I thought, well, that's really cheap for a new record. And it wasn't until I kind of did a little bit of digging around that I found out that this actually isn't a new pressing. This is the 2015 black vinyl version, but it's cut from the same masters as the new version. So as far as I'm concerned, this is like the best of all worlds because I've got the album I want on the color I want with the masters I want. I mean, obviously I want an original one at some point, but this, you know, this will do for now. And it's absolutely fantastic. It comes in a nice textured sleeve and it replicates the original album fantastically. It looks perfect from the outer sleeve to the inner. It's absolutely fantastic. And as I said, this is on, it's got to be 180 gram. It's absolutely heavy as heck. It's really, really nice. And yeah, there you go. It's got the nice Factory Records logo. And this is just, I mean, everyone talks about Unknown Pleasures, which is of course an absolute classic. I mean, it's one of the greatest records ever made as far as I'm concerned. But Closer is no slouch in the album department. This is an absolutely fantastic, fantastic record that if you don't already have, you're not too bothered about the new version, have a look around because you may end up snagging this one for a lot cheaper. Okay, this is something very cool. This is the 28 Biohazard EP. And if you are a film music fan, you've probably already figured this out, what this actually is, and you may already have a copy in your collection. But this is re-recorded and unreleased material from the 28 series. So 28 days later, and then 28 weeks later. And this is a one-sided 6-track EP released from Enjoy the Ride Records. And it's a really cool, I mean, the scores, John Murphy's scores for the 28 films are absolutely phenomenal. I do believe Waxwork Records are reissuing both of them at some point soon. I'm not entirely sure when, but if you are a fan, and you do not have this, well, you might want to try and track this one down. Only 6 tracks, however, it's a really, really fantastic package. This came out on 3 or 4 different variants, and sometimes I do like to go for something other than the black vinyl, and this is one of those cases where I was like, ooh, that's the one I want that one looks really cool. So the version I actually went for, and I'll show you now, This is the Orange Inferno. And I don't know how much of this you will be able to pick up because it is kind of like a trans disc. But you can kind of get the idea what's going on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a picture for you right now, so you can see what it looks like backlit. This is one of those records that it looks fantastic when you shine a light through it. And as I said, it's a one-sided disc, and on the B side, there is an etched or printed biohazard symbol. So biohazard as in, you know, not good for you, not biohazard as in the New York hardcore band who are very good for you. I'd recommend Biohazard to anybody. There we go. If I put the black inner sleeve underneath, you can kind of see it a little bit better there. This is the Orange Inferno. There was a black vinyl version. I believe there was a clear and red vinyl version, and I do believe there was also a liquid filled version as well, but I think it was in like super low numbers. So yeah, I didn't manage to track one of those down, didn't manage to order one of those. And I believe this may actually already be sold out. So I kind of feel bad talking about it because it is really fantastic, but also could potentially be sold out as well. So if you enjoyed what I just said, if you're a fan of this series and you weren't aware of this, but you would like to track down a copy, reach out to Enjoy the Ride Records on social media. They may have held some copies back, they may be doing another run, I don't know, but they would be the best people to tell you. And this is, without a shadow of a doubt, this is probably one of my favorite listens at the moment, you know. 6 tracks, so it's not going to hang around for too long, and it's just absolutely beautiful. This is John Murphy's 28 Biohazard EP, released through Enjoy the Ride Records. Okay friends, hard to believe, but we have come to the end of another episode of The Record Room, so thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Remember, if you'd like to support the show and you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button, and why not give us a thumbs up on the way out. And if you would like to do a little bit more, you can always pledge to our Patreon campaign. Just head on over to Patreon and search for The Record Room, and it will cost you the princely sum of $1 per month. And for that, you get an exclusive podcast, as well as the chance to vote in viewer polls, ask me questions, you know, that kind of a thing. We've got a little bit of a community going on over there as well. So I occasionally drop some bonus material as well, and sometimes you'll get episodes early. So if you enjoy the show, and like I say, you want to do a bit more, head on over to our Patreon. But I'm going to finish strong on this return episode of The Record Room, because as you can see in front of you, this is the brand new release from Silva Screen Records, and this is the score for Francis Ford Coppola's The Outsiders. And man, this artwork is just absolutely phenomenal. I love this. It looks so good. The music is obviously by Carmine Coppola, and out now through Silva Screen. And what I love is they've been doing this for a little bit now, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says on there, this record has been manufactured without shrink wrap. And you know something? I am a-okay with that. I could do with having less shrink wrap on my records. On the hype sticker there at the top, it says double LP on transparent turquoise and neon orange colored vinyl, and that's exactly what you get. The records are also cut at 45 RPM as well, so they sound pretty good. You've got a nice gatefold sleeve here. You've got some shots from the film, some notes from Francis Ford Coppola. These are from 2012, so I'm guessing some sort of anniversary or something from back in the day. And this is nice. However, the real shining moment for me was on the inside of the record sleeves. There is a fantastic, I don't know what you call it, article, piece, written by a guy called Daniel Schweiger, who, if you are a fan of film music, you may be aware of him. Daniel has been reviewing, talking, promoting about film music for as long as I've been a fan. And his writing is superb, and his writing on The Outsiders is just brilliant. And that's on both sides of the printed inner sleeves. This is the first disc, which, as you can see there, is a lovely shade of turquoise. I do like that. That is very, very nice. Turquoise vinyl. I'm not sure I have many turquoise records, but I've seen a lot of record colors in my time, and I've seen a lot of neon record colors in my time, but neon orange, I don't think I've ever seen a neon orange that looks quite like this. It looks kind of pale when you hold it up, but when you lay it down flat, Jiminy Cricket, this thing jumps out at you. It is really, really bright. And I don't know how they've done it, but it looks and sounds fantastic. The score, it just conjures up so many memories for me. I saw The Outsiders, obviously way after its release, but I saw it at a time where it hit home on so many levels. You know, I became a fan of the film, became a fan of the book, and when I heard that Silva Screen were releasing this, I did actually reach out to them and was like, guys, if I could feature this, talk about this on my channel, I'd be so super grateful. And they did kindly send me a copy of this, but make no mistake about it. If they hadn't done that, I would have been first in line to buy a copy of this, because this is brilliant. From the Stevie Wonder track, Stay Gold, to Carmine's absolutely phenomenal, maudlin, emotive, powerful, daring, dynamic score. It's just, I'm a big fan, as you may have guessed. And if you haven't heard this, treat yourself to a listen. That's all I'm going to say. Just treat yourself to a listen of The Outsiders. And well, that is all we have time for on this episode of The Record Room. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you're going outside, if you're digging for records, if you're interacting with the public in any way, shape or form, please wear a mask, wash your hands, stay gold, and remember to always spin those blackest circles.